into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, for you, for you, for you, for you, for you,
LEDs, low-profile modules, and real-time temperature monitoring let you customize your rig further. Ballistix modules are available in DDR3 and the latest DDR4 technology, which is faster, has lower voltages, and greater capacities than DDR3. Choose your level of performance with Sports, Tactical, or Elite series, and crush the competition with Ballistix. Accelerate nearly everything on your rig with a crucial SSD. Slash load times. Get into your game faster and access files, games, and apps almost as soon as you click on them. Choose the form factor that's right for your build and destroy the competition with the power and acceleration of a crucial SSD.
Crucial is a brand of Micron, one of the largest memory manufacturers in the world. We leverage more than 35 years of expertise to create some of the world's most reliable memory and SSDs. Everything from select silicon to the finished product is tested, monitored throughout production, and tested again before it leaves our doors. Unlike third-party brands, we don't end assemble. We make everything from start to finish. That's quality you can depend on. Crucial desktop and laptop memory is one of the easiest and most affordable ways to improve performance. Designed to help computers run faster and smoother, Crucial memory is available for more than 100,000 systems in DDR to DDR4 technology, and it's easy to install. Load programs faster, increase system responsiveness, run data-intensive applications with ease, and multitask seamlessly. Crucial server memory is available in all form factors and all levels of memory technology, compatible with OEM servers and warranties, and manufactured to mission-critical standards. Servers fuel everyone in an organization. Since active data resides in memory, increasing a server's installed memory capacity is one of the easiest and most affordable ways to improve workload and organizational performance. Get more out of your server infrastructure by maximizing the installed memory capacity. Crucial SSDs are faster, more energy efficient, and more durable than hard drives. Booting up and accessing data on a Crucial SSD is like flipping a light switch. It's almost instant and makes everything you do extremely fast. All of our SSDs are backed by hundreds of qualification tests and our free Crucial Storage Executive tool to ensure that you get the most reliable storage for your data.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world. We got some Dota action for you on this little bit of a chilly Sunday evening. Definitely sending up that cold weather from the bottom parts of our country, but I hope you got your cups of coffee ready for some epic Dota action for you this evening. It is going to be the Ballistix Masters Cup. It is the semi-finals, going to be Damage Control versus Carbon. The winners of this game, of this series, will go ahead and face in the finals XD. It is going to be an amazing match. The grand finals will probably take place next week, but nonetheless, I am Jabba and I'm joined by Tyrox. How have you been, my friend?
Jabba, it's been a very cold Sunday for me. I don't know which part of the country you're in, but here in Joburg, in the south of Joburg, it is extremely cold. It's been horrible weather all day, but it is time for Dota. It is time to cast some awesome Dota.
It's time to play and it's time to work, and now it's time for us to play. So with that said, we've got a couple of the bands already coming out. We've already got both bands coming out for both teams. Got the Shadow Demon, the Kunkka for Damage Control, banning those out for the Drow, and the Beastmaster being banned out for Carbon. Before we touch on the bands, generally pretty common bands. Kunkka, a little bit of a surprise band so far. Generally see the Elder Titan being banned out, but when they're not being banned out, Carbon able to pick it up, put it in their pocket, and move on from there. For the side of Damage Control, picking up the Sand King Mirana. How do you see the draft going, and how do you start seeing the way that each team wants to draft here?
Well, generally speaking, I mean, let's have a look at Damage Control's their picks so far. I mean, SK, huge team fights. That epicenter is going to be causing havoc if he gets it, if he lands it correctly. Ether lens to increase the damage and also the range. Mirana's been played so much internationally and locally. He's such a good hero. All around, just provides so much for the team. The Moonlight Shadow is just, it's a free smoke. You've got the Sacred Arrow that can use to be initiated as a stun, or it can be used to censor someone. So you can use the Burrow Strike, couple that up with the Sacred Arrow to maybe get something going. But on the side of Carbon Dota 2, they have got themselves an Elder Titan Juggernaut straight off the bat. I like this combo. I really like the natural auto bind with the Juggernaut's fact that he's just going to Blade Fury and Omni Slash through the entire team. His Blade Dance, that crit, is going to really hurt a lot because of the fact that natural order's there. And, I mean, this is going to be, I can see a high DPS and foresee the future. I'm Oracle, Jabba.
Well,
are going massive DPS.
Well, I mean, what does strange me a little bit unpeculiar, or maybe just a little bit different to what I've seen in the past, is Carbon deciding to actually pick up the Jugger in the second picking phase, and actually snagging themselves up the Jugger. So now it gives Damage Control a little bit more opportunity to kind of draft around the Juggernaut. Now we do know that as of late, Jugger's actually been played in the mid sometimes. So could we see a mid Jugger here, or do you think it's going to be the safe lane core Jugger that we all used to? And this it's difficult to say at the moment, but where would Carbon actually like to run this Jugger?
Well, generally speaking, I would love to say they put him in the mid lane because of his survivability. Not that healing ward really does a lot of work for him, but the reason I like this Juggernaut pick above the fact that they gave it a second pick, it's very uncommon to see a Juggernaut picked up so early, but because of the fact that Juggernaut's able to just really, he's very adaptable to his situation. So if he needs to get a Manta Style, he'll go Manta Style. If he needs to get an Abyssal Blade, he'll go Abyssal Blade. If he needs to get himself that nice little word I completely forget every single time, Diffusal Blade. If he needs to go Diffusal Blade build, then he can go that direction. He's not a Faceless Void. He needs to get a certain set. I say it very loosely, but Faceless Void, Sand King, Mirana, they built somewhat the same throughout the hero's composition. Juggernaut, he's a nice hero by comparison. He's got a very free type of build. He can still put high DPS. He can still do pushing. There's a lot that he can do just by his skill set and his item set alone.
So he's got a little bit more flexibility in the kind of items that he can actually pick up. So
exactly.
With that said, let's just jump onto the bans quickly. For the side of damage control, banning out the Axe and the Morphling, two really strong heroes. The Morphling, I feel that teams have been struggling to actually deal with the Morphling and how strong the Morphling gets, and teams struggle to actually deal with the Morph. So banning out the Morph for the side of damage control, jumping onto the side of Carbon, banning out two supports for the side of damage. They not allowing damage to get their hands on the Mummy or the Ogre Magi. Now, Ogre Magi has been also one of those safe go-to kind of supports that are just tanky, can just get so much done for their team. Let us not even just forget about the Bloodlust that just completely makes your heroes ridiculous. So
that is really, it's a really overpowered ability. It is balanced. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Really balanced, but the hero in itself just provides so much for the team. I mean, constant Bloodlust. We've seen it, Jabba. You can agree with me. Bloodlust is just such a good ability, regardless of any stage of the game. It's just all around such a good ability.
Absolutely. So the bans now being finished up here for damage control. Banning out the Alk, identifying that Carbon may actually be playing that Jugger as a core Jugger and not allowing Carbon to find that Alk in the mid lane. What would, considering how the draft's gone thus far, without knowing exactly where we're going to put the Jugger and damage control, also the Faceless Void, a little bit of a tricky one as well. Is it going to be an off-lane Void or is it going to be the safe lane Void? I think Mirana is pretty much going to be our mid hero for damage control. So Carbon, go ahead and ban out the Skyroth Mage. Now, for the side of damage control, potentially looking for an off-lane hero or a core, depending on what position the Void sits, and that's probably also the thinking that Carbon's going through. What position is the face is going to be sitting at? Let's also not forget that the Sand King could even be an off-lane hero. I mean, his Caustic Finale just does also so much work, especially if he's going up against a mid hero. So maybe Carbon's looking to look at getting a bit of a ranged carry that could actually stand toe-to-toe against the Sand King. We'll see what they decide to go, but what are each team here lacking? It's $1 million question. It's $1 million question.
If I was able to predict what was happening right now in the mind of Sheena, then I would go play Lotto, not Dota. And Carbon, if we're gonna see that this mid lane juggernaut that you mentioned earlier, then we should see something really strong, really powerful. There isn't. I mean, having a look. Anti-Mage isn't banned, Slark isn't banned, so the possibility of a Slark, I would really like to see a Slark, and Puck, there we go. That just confirms Juggernaut is going to be on that safe lane being babysit, and Puck's going to go into that mid lane. But damage control, now, they have got a few heroes. I mean, Lich can mid, it is old Dota Meadow that we're talking. Lich can mid, Mirana possibly.
Well, if Sand King's going to go into the off lane and say it's going to be a position 1 faceless, they're looking for a final support, and generally against the Batrider, Oracle does pretty well. So could be they decide to actually go for the Rubik. So that's pretty much going to sum up the two drafts for both teams. Damage control opting to go for the Sand King, Mirana, Faceless Void, Lich and Rubik, where Carbon has opted to go for the Elder Titan, Juggernaut, Disruptor, Batrider and Puck draft. So it is going to be quite an interesting game. What just looking at the two drafts at the moment, which one do you feel more confident in?
I really like Carbon's draft. It's very nice, very not necessarily high damage output that I called in the beginning, but it's more of a secure, more of a hand of it's more curable. Let's just say it's not this toxic, out of control lineup. It's very nice, very well centered, very well constructed. I really like the way the draft is constructed for Carbon.
All right, well, as that does take place, we're going to go into our traditional pause. We're going to give us an opportunity to go ahead and introduce our players. So, for the side of the Radiant, going to be played with Carbon on the green side, the goodies. And we're going to have KMS. And now, obviously, the team player names are not the official team names. They are using different names. So, we will use the names that are on their heroes. So, with that said, it is going to be KMS. Going to be playing our Puck. Is going to be 540 on our Disruptor. We got I Have Quit Dota Armor. Going to be playing our Batrider. and XBFH gonna be playing our little juggernaut. And last but not least, it's gonna be Sheena on the Elder Titan, gonna be rocking out those stumps, gonna be throwing down those earth splitters, gonna be a cracker of a game. But please go ahead and introduce the side of the Dire.
And before I do that though, I'm not too sure if you know, but in the console itself, the Radiant is actually classified as the good guys, and the Dire is classified as the bad guys. That's actual console commands for those Dota freaks out there. But on this side of damage control, we've got Scarnet, the heart little symbol, Wolfie on that lich. We have got Stunt on the SK, Sand King himself. We've got Mirana being played by Filthy Frank. That's a nice little tongue twister when you're wanting to get to a team fight. We've got Faded on that Faceless Void, and we've got Tracky Woods on the Rubik. I'm going to be really excited to see the spells he's going to steal in this game.
Well, I mean, just something peculiar that we saw is that we saw Scarnet actually TP into the bot lane, drop down this quite a deep observer ward over here, just really trying to maybe scout out to see what Carbon's up to, what tricks they've got up their sleeve. So quite an aggressive ward. Obviously the side of Carbon doesn't know it's there, was able to get out rather quickly there from our lich. So let's see if that ward does come into play. But generally DC making their way into the top lane, not wanting to actually contest for ruins at this point in time. And we'll see how it goes. But the pauses are undone. It looks like the game is going to get underway. So let's get ready to Dota in this Masters Ballistix Cup. It's going to be chaos. Well, when I say chaos, I hope there's going to be a lot of bloods, a lot of kills, and just absolute murder. Yeah, well, chaos has been overdone, so we just want to see a lot of murder. We want to see the kill count high, and we want to see the teams go ham and go against one another. But here we go. Bat Rider just trying to get a little bit peculiar, but they just allow their bounty rune to go onto the Mirana as well as onto the puck. And yeah, pretty much one apiece thus far.
Oh, I'm not too sure if they scouted out the observatory ward here at the top. The central ward seems to be in range, but I don't think he's actually scouted it out, because he was being pressured by Batrider, so he wasn't able to just see if it was put down. But there was also some pings coming out from DC's that nice little observer they put down in the bottom, so I'm not too sure if they want to deward that at any stage, or if they're just going to let it slide.
Well, already a lot of action in the bot lane. Glimpse has been used. Pullback stunt. SK is in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the Blade Fury. Does try and stun out. So Baro Strike going to be the option to actually just create a little bit of space between him and Carbon. Now it looks like they may just want to actually just tally up this lane. It's going to be a little bit of a tough lane. They've opted, DC's actually opted to go for a dual lane against this tri-lane bot. Going to allow our Elder Titan to get a couple of pulls off here and just try and deny as much XP to the side of DC as they can. Going to be a little bit of a problem there for them. Jumping to the mid lane, we've got our puck versus the Mirana. I think it's, this lane sits in benefit of KMS, especially when he does manage to get his phase shift right, being able to dodge a lot of damage coming out from Filthy. So, going to be, I think, sitting a little bit more in favor of the puck, unless you agree or disagree.
I definitely agree. KMS is going to be able to, if his fingers are fast enough, dodge a lot of incoming damage coming out from Filthy Frank. I mean, that Starstorm you can easily dodge. It's got such a nice delay as to when it actually comes out that it could potentially be dodged. KMS, if he's, like I said, quick fingers is going to be the difference between staying alive and actually feeding yourself to the Mirana.
Yeah, and it makes it a little bit more difficult for the Mirana to actually engage on the puck, just because he's got that dodge ability, so it's going to make it a little bit more difficult.
Check
so.
Tracky, he's actually going after this ward. Yep, he's going after the ward.
But puck actually taking quite a bit of damage there. Does actually manage to salve up, almost actually going down there, but being able to just survive, running under the tier 1 tower and making it out. Now Sheena going to pick up the Arcane Rune in the bot lane. It's going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze here for DC, but oh, Filthy Frank taking quite a bit of damage there. He also now has to salve up. KMS showing what he's made of here in the mid lane and not allowing to give any quarter here to Filthy.
Oh, he's really really putting the pressure on, and KMS, Puck, not just KMS, I mean, Puck has really got the ability to do that. Continuously spam out this illusionary orb as well as the waning rift. He needs the mana pool. I mean, it's really, you can expend most of your mana pool with just 2 spells, and then you can't do anything else. You need to wait for your bottle to come out. And as I say that, he's got his bottle, so mana problem no more.
And Filth has also just picked up his bottle as well. So things looking pretty easy here for both of them. But in the bot lane, First Blood going in favor of a Carbon, the Juggernaut, trying to chase down the Lich now as well. Whereas SK did go down, but so did the Disruptor. So a lot of action happening in here in the bot lane. We did see a stun did actually rotate in, as well as the Rubik. Nice little TP there from the Rubik, just trying to help out. Not quick enough, and actually losing a player piece here for both teams.
Oh, unfortunate, and XBFH is taking a bit of a rest, but nothing too serious. And a nice thing that, unfortunately, and I'm not too sure, but if it still applies, but with Lich, when you deny a creep of your side and the enemy hero is still in range, that enemy hero still gains the XP. So the nice thing to do would be to go behind your tier 1, deny the creep, then move forward, because you're not giving them the XP for it. I'm not too sure if that still applies, but when I used to play Lich, that was long ago, that as soon as you deny creep, the guy still gets XP for it. So you'd always want to deny it by your tier 1 or your tier 2 even. Like this, that's perfect.
Just making sure that the heroes are out of range of that XP gain. I think it's 50%. I think they still do actually lose XP, but they still... They say 50% as far as I do recall. I'm not 100% sure. Now, in the top lane, Batrider being able to pick up a kill here on the Faceless Void. Nice little pick up there. Also didn't catch that one. Kills are just happening so quick. It's actually... In the bot lane, kills are happening. People are dying. And in the top lane, people are dying. And we're just not catching any of it. So, we'll try and be a little bit more on top of that as the game does actually progress out.
Sunday fingers are slow, really cold outside.
It's really cold, bro. It's really cold.
Really, really is.
Top lane though, Faded is back in the lane. Maybe going to try and put some harassment. There comes the telekinesis. Does bring back the Batrider. Batrider now doesn't have his Firefly to actually get out of there. That could be a kill. Just being able to drop down that sticky napalm, not allowing them to actually chase up there. So Batrider being able to survive, walk it off, and going to make his way back to base. Oh, but in the mid lane, KMS trying to make something happen. Yeah, do get the rotation in from Sheena. It's not going to catch, but the coil is good. Does actually stun him out for a little bit. And the arrow does miss. Nice little phase shift there coming out from the pack. And not being able to secure that one. Do you have the rotation coming in from the Rubik? Can they make something happen on the back of this? Rubik isn't sitting with a lot of mana at this point in time. So going to be a little bit difficult for him to actually make something happen out of here. Bot lane though. XBFH is trying to make something happen here on the SK. SK decides not. He's actually going to turn around. There comes a bow strike. It's not going to be enough to actually bring him down, but there's the glimpse. Does put him in the kinetic field. He may go down. Yeah, he can file for actually do enough damage. He doesn't actually have enough mana, and he will go down a little bit too late there on that ice just to actually slow down that Juggernaut. But now, Filthy Frank leaping forward, jumping into the trees, does get... himself into a little bit of a nasty position. I can't actually get out. Now actually revealed that he's in the trees here. Do they actually go on this? And yeah, this is a little bit of a precarious position over here for our poor little Filthy Frank. And I think he can do it at the moment. Top lane though. Faded, trying to see if he can actually get the jump here on the Batrider, but Sheena coming out with the storm. Do catch the Faceless Void. Is it going to be enough? Now trying a bit of a body block there. There comes out the Moonlight Shadow. Stunts in the top lane. He's going to try and make something happen. Yeah, he gets the stun off. Faded, clapping away. Hit. There's the Napalm, slaying them down just a tad. Still pretty good here in the Napalm, and they do get the kill there on the Batrider, but Faded goes down as well, and... Stunt, he's trying to make something happen here. He's probably going to be able to bring down the Elder Tide, and he does try to deny himself to the creep. Not good enough, my friend, and does go down. So, super unfortunate there for the players there of Carbon. Actually, 2-for-1 trade, not what you really want to be looking at this point in time. So, well done to the boys there on the side of DC, being able to pick up that very, very pretty kill.
No, and actually trading 2 for 1. And yes, you lost your faces void, so his timing on his item progression is going to be pretty bad. But oh, are they going to go on stunt again? Because I have quit Dota's back and Tracky Woods. Oh my, wow. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah, and Trek is in a lot of trouble here. I've got Dota, the bat rider, is chasing him down, taking quite a bit of damage here from that fire fairy. One more right click and he's going to go down. There you have it. He hits the deck hard and fast, and bat rider getting himself a little bit of a revenge kill there for bringing him down. So,
And in the mid lane, Puck also managed to kill off the Mirana. That was happening at the exact same time. This is really, really awesome Dota. Some crazy, crazy Dota.
we promised you a cracker of a game, and if we didn't promise you a cracker of a game, we're promising it to you now. And if I lie to you, that's not my fault. It's the players' fault. They're not making it. They're not making it awesome. But yeah, Techie Woods actually trying to be. I thought he was actually going to go for the telekinesis. We do have stunt in the back lines. There we go. There comes the fader bolt. Now we're going to have some action here onto the bat rider. There comes the stunt. But the stop from the Elder Titan comes out of nowhere, stopping the harassment out of here for DC. And now fader does go down. The Rubik is going to hit the deck as well. Double kill going in favor of the bat rider, getting so much out. I mean, a little bit more of rotations like this coming out from Carbon, and that bat rider is going to have his blink dagger in no time. Arrow just missing from Filthy Frank. And bat rider going to just be able to walk out. Earth Splitter, not going to catch stunt.
Ooh, that was a big commitment.
But bot lane, we do have our poor little Lich going down here onto the onslaughts of the Disruptor as well as the Juggernaut. It looks like it was just a couple of right clicks. It doesn't even look like any abilities were actually even used. So the boys are getting stuff done around the map. Things are looking very good for the side of Carbon at the moment. We're sitting almost 10 minutes in with 11-3 at this point in time. Filthy Frank trying to go here on the puck. Not going to find anything off this. Arrow does come out, and beautiful little dodge. We did hear the nice little dodge coming out there from KMS. So, what do you?
Filthy Frank in the mid lane. He might just go down for this.
Ooh, big punishment here. Does actually get the phase forward there. The pause comes out. Sand King pauses it out, and Filthy Frank looking in a rather precarious position here. And oh, do you think they can actually bring him down? The Elder Titan looks like he's in the animation of the right click. And KMS looking like he just needs one more right click there to bring down Filthy Frank. Although he does have the leap available. Ooh, it's going to be a close one. Do you think Filthy's going to go down here?
I do think so. Back, I'm trying to see.
Well, even in the top lane, we're going to have the Bat Rider also in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I think he's going to go down. The Bat Rider's pretty much out of options. But in the mid lane, we'll concentrate on that because Filthy Frank, and he does go down there to the Elder Titan in the top lane. The Lich does pick up the kill on the Bat Rider. So 2 kills going bottom lane. And there we go. We do have the Rubik bite in the dust there. Nice Blade Fury there from the Jugger. Stun trying to get some damage return. Yeah, Thunderstrike has been used here by the Disruptor, but XBFH just getting that last right click there on the SK and not being able to actually evade that right click. So Carbon sitting 14-4 now. Almost 11 minutes in. Things are looking rather well for them. Let's just have a look at our XP graph at the moment. Our team net worth sitting at around about 5,100 gold plus minus. And in terms of XP, definitely sitting in favor of Carbon. So, I mean, DC's in a little bit of a precarious position at the moment, and it's going to be a little bit tough for them to catch up. Now, it seems like the game is at a kind of slow point. So while we're at this point, let's run through some item progressions for certain heroes. Let's start with the Mirana, because we do have a couple of options there. Does she rush her eggs? Does she start getting that that damage up, or do you think we're going to first see her getting her Quilla, getting her phase boots or arcane boots, depending on what she decides to go for, and then into eggs? Or do you think that's eggs is now an absolute priority for Filthy Frank?
Well, I'd love to say what Filthy Frank should go for. I would like to see the eggs ball. Just it helps the accelerator farm and push so much more. But it's I mean, you're still sitting with brown boots and 500 gold.
Oh, but aggressive coil there from KMS. The latch does, or the coil does come out. There's the glimpse into Static Storm and Kinetic Field. Filthy Frank is one dead Filthy Frank. And now Lich does TP in a little bit too late to actually get anything done here, and going to be in a little bit of trouble. But he's going to be able to just walk it off here. But can KMS and Sheena actually spot out the SK standing just on the other side of the trees over here?
Oh, he's got very low HP as well.
He does. He could be in a lot of trouble if they do actually spot him out. But I think Puck and Elder Titan are a lot more focused on the mid lane to see what they can actually catch out. There comes a stump from Sheena. They're going to catch out anyone here from the side of damage control. And now they're going to be looking at maybe trying to put a bit of pressure on this tier 1 tower. It has taken a little bit of damage here. But yeah, with that said, it looks like things have slowed down once again. So, right, so we're going to probably hope that we see the Ags build onto the Marana. For the side of Carbon, our Puck, he is making his way slowly. Well, he has already got the Veil of Discord, going to do quite a bit of damage there for Carbon. Do you think we're going to see him going into a Blink pretty soon? Do you think that's the next item he's actually saving up for? But hold that thought, as Moonlight Shadow has actually been used out here. They're going to see if they can actually catch something here. XBFH going to be maybe the choice of target here. He was sitting a little bit laxy-daisy. They do now know that they have actually moon shadowed up, and the side of Carbon is actually just going to walk away. But there comes the fire break there from I have good DOTA. Batrider in hot pursuit here of the Lich. He decides to actually try and get himself out of dodge, but telekinesis being used. Now Stun spotting out the Batrider. Can he actually make something happen? Yeah, there's the Omni Slash from the Juggernaut, putting a lot of damage onto the Rubik. Is he going to go down now? But Batrider, he does go down eventually to the Marana. Now Techie Woods under a little bit of pressure. He has steals an ability, but dies straight after that. Now Faded. He's in the mix of things. Does drop the chrono, but not catching out enough heroes. And Sheena being able to get that stomp off, and Stunt is going to go down as well. So pretty much a 1-for-3 trade going in favor of Carbon. Not the best fight that DC could have put together there, and I think that bubble was just a little bit off perfect for the side of damage control. Not being able to catch the Elder Titan did cost him quite a bit there.
It's unfortunate that at this point in time, there's just when you do have the faces for it, but Tracky Woods.
He's been caught up there into the kinetic field. XPF, the Jugger is just doing some work, but Disruptor gets the last kill there. That is some sweet chin music. I'm trying to think of that WWE player, Shawn Michaels. Sweet chin music. I don't know. Did you ever watch WWE?
Yeah, I loved it, man. Loved it. Sweet chin music.
Sweet chin music. Yeah.
Rubik unfortunately TPing into death. I mean, he just respawned and now he's going to sit there watching his team do what they do while he sits and waits for his respawn timer to dissipate, which it just did. So, I mean, always TPing into tier 1 when there's more than 2 people there is generally a bad idea. I mean, it goes without saying. But it's always a bad idea to TP into the enemy.
Unless you've got the entire team behind you. And unfortunately, it didn't. The Rubik did just go down basically for your charge. But in the bot lane now, stunted a lot of pressure. KMS trying to right click away. Doesn't actually have enough mana to actually cast his Waning Rift. So he's just going to be able to walk that off. Now Filthy Frank actually had moonlighted up, trying to see if they could actually make something happen on the back of this. Not being able to catch too much. And just getting so much done here for the side of Carbon. Kind of left DC in a little bit of a precarious position at the moment. So Carbon looking very strong at this point in time.
And actually that Moonlight Shadow was actually used to help SK get back to base and scurry because he had no HP left. And that Earth Splitter would have hit him had he not known where it was going. But it was unfortunate that Moonlight Shadow had to be used to actually be, well, as a defensive more than an offensive, because the cooldown it has is not something that can be spent every now and then. It's something that you could now potentially DC cannot get a rotation or a gank off because they don't have Moonlight Shadow to use. So I think at the end of the day it's worth it, but you now need to then look forward to getting some more getting your item progression, farming some more, not actually fighting because they can't fight at this point in time. DC, they really are struggling to stay alive, nonetheless actually try and kill the Juggernaut.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough position, but I want to just jump onto the Batrider. He has actually opted to go for the Drums of Endurance first up, not actually opting to actually rush his Blink. So I mean, how do you feel about this? Generally, we see Batriders actually wanting to get that blink dagger as quick as possible, jump into the fight, and then being able to then obviously force staff back into your own team and then get a quick pick off. And now opting to go for the Drums of Endurance doesn't actually give him that early mobility that a Batrider so desperately needs.
It's not a bad pickup. It drums on any team is actually a very nice and very good idea. The Batrider using it's really nice. It just means he's trying to secure himself a bit of a later game farm, because once Batrider gets that blink dagger, gets that force staff, generally has not much more. There's not much more in terms of survivability, in terms of stats that Batrider can go for. But if he does opt to get this Drum of Endurance early on, just gets himself a little bit more survivability and just makes sure that he just helps. I mean, obviously the aura is what it speaks for, but it just assists the team more, and it's also necessary. It's not, I mean, the Blink Dagger and Force Staff is a very good combination, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It is also a very good decision, but Batrider trying to get himself a bit of a later game build is getting that drums is a very good way to secure your later game.
Well, here we go. Rotations do come into the mid. They do get the tier 1 tower in the mid lane. Going in favor of the Mirana. There comes the Moonlight Shadow. Coil being dropped down on the Rubik. Just a one-man coil. Going to easy TP out ya. But there comes the silence. There comes the Lasso. Deciding to actually choose the Rubik as the favorite target of choice. And the rest of the side of DC, the call is to retreat. And that's what they will do. Just surrendering the Rubik at this point in time. And I mean, they did get the tier 1 tower, so a position 5 support for a tier 1 tower. Worth? Not worth?
That was very much worth. DC, they actually also committed quite a lot for that. The Dream Coil was used, if I'm not mistaken, as well as Batrider's Lasso. So the Flaming Lasso not having a 100-minute cooldown, but still, they committed a lot. They lost the tier 1 tower, and they only lost one hero. So not bad at all. I really think DC are going to be happy with walking away with that.
But off the back of this, they're going to take the tier 2 tower in the mid lane. Void may try and put a bit of pressure here on the tier 2 tower in the bot lane. But on the backside of this, I mean, pretty much losing the Rubik as well as the tier 2 tower. Not kind of a pleasant position for DC to be in at the moment. SK has now picked up his blink, so he's in line to become a lot more of a bigger factor in team fights, being able to actually watch his positioning and to make sure that he can actually be a benefit to his team and can actually make something happen for his team. So we'll see how that blink does come in aid. I don't think Carbon has actually spotted it out yet. So it could be a little bit of a reveal when the time does come. Puck has actually gone back to pick up his blink now as well. So the items are starting to develop for both teams. I did see the Jugger sitting with his Battle Fury. Is now sitting... Okay, well, I think that just confirmed it. Did pick up his Vanguard. That's going to probably be built into Abyssal Blade, something that's a little bit easier for the teams to actually deal with. But here on the sidelines, we got Batrider looking for a little bit of an engagement. And here he goes. Firefly has been actually used up. He does catch Filthy Frank, and there he goes, pulling him back into the team. There's the Omni Slash, not going to be able to catch out the Mirana, and being able to be tanked up a little bit there from the ledge. So a little bit of an unfortunate position in there for the side of Carbon. Ledge just been too close to actually absorb a lot of that Omni Slash damage coming out from the Jugger.
And there was a lot committed there for that, but no, this is not enough then. There we go.
2-man, 3-man chrono in the backlines. Fader trying to whack away. There's the Earth Splitter. Is it going to be good? Dissipates a lot of that damage there on the Void by getting the time lapse forward. No deaths yet, and Faded in a little bit of problems here. The phase shift does come out stunt on very low HP, but still does have his epicenter available. Maybe they can make something happen on the back of this. We've got Batrider just trying to dodge, stunt, just missing out the Batrider. Super unfortunate, but now they're all fighting here under the flames. There comes the big stomp from the Elder Titan. The SK goes down, the Rubik goes down. They're looking for more. They do find out the Faceless Void. He's able to just going to jump forward there as well. And they're going to try and they won't be able to get any more off of that. But it's going to translate into a tier 2 tower in the bot lane, going in favor for Carbon. I mean, at this point in time, things are looking very dire for the Dire. Jugger sitting on 125 loss hits versus, say, the 94 for the Void. Not the kind of position that you want to see a Void in against the Jugger.
Never. You never want to have Faceless Void that's underfarmed under
Under
you've
any
got-
circumstances.
yeah, under any circumstances. No good outcome for an underfarmed Void. Well, underfarmed Mirana is even I'd almost say a little bit worse. I mean, Mirana is going straight into that Ag Scepter and not getting anything else but that. But oh, XPFH almost ate a 4-second arrow, and that would have been very difficult to deal with. But it feels like DC lack in firstly damage output, and Carbon just really can steamroll because they got such a massive gold lead. I mean, it's sitting at 14,000 22 minutes in.
In the mid lane, Batrider jumps in, does find out Filthy Frank. He does bite the dust, stunt, a little bit too slow there on the stunt to actually save his partner. But there comes Stunt back into the kinetic field, just timing out there and picking up a double kill here in favor of the side of Carbon. Juggernaut being an absolute monster at this point in time. And I think a lot of the problems coming in is that the team fights that they're taking is never full 5-man team fights. I mean, Fader was in the top lane. He's struggling to get the farm that's needed on him. And they just can't engage at this point in time. So now for 2 down for the side of damage control is going to allow them to basically get a free rush here for Carbon.
And Carbon are just really starting to close up on DC, and it's going to start sounding like a bad joke how much actual map control they have. I mean, because they can... Void is just so scared. He pushes out a little bit, falls back, and the Lich just pushing out one wave, falling back. Filthy Frank, as well as Tracky, just pushing out a wave and falling back. They just really have no vision, firstly. Secondly, they can't contest. They can't contest at this point in time against Carbon's lineup.
No, they can't. And now it's going to be even harder for damage control to actually deal with the pack. He's actually also just picked up his Yule Scepter as well now. So KMS is going to be very difficult to actually lock down and secure the kill. But Batrider trying to see if they can actually catch the Lich. I mean, have you even looked at the net worths at the moment for each individual player? Jugger sitting at 2,000 or 12,200 gold. Puck close behind him at 9,000, and the closest diet player is sitting at 7.5k gold. I mean, things are very dire at the moment for damage control. They just don't have. I think they're running out a little bit of fuel here at the moment, so they don't have the gold to actually go toe to toe against Carbon. I mean, after the 4 players of Carbon is pretty much the rest of the team for damage control. Oh, but we do have the last 3 coming out. They do catch out the Faceless Void. Is it going to be enough? Be silenced out. Couldn't time let's off the damage, and that Faceless Void is down and out. Going to be down for 45 seconds. Does have buyback available. It's going to see if they decide to opt to use it. Jugger taking quite a bit of damage now as well. Going to just blade the Fury out of there. Now Techie Woods is going to be the object of attention. Going to bring telekinesis up the puck. The puck's just going to basically destroy that healing ward that the Rubik had actually stolen. And now we get a 2-man chrono, but can't make too much happen. There comes the stun coming up from the Marana. Catches out the puck, but not enough, and he's able to just get himself out of dodge there as well. So I mean, DC's trying to hold here. They're just not making much happen. And there's the Omni Slash onto the Faceless Void. Going to be able to just join that Omni Slash now. Faded. He's going to be able to just time lapse out of there. They're trying to make something happen. Yule's sceptered up. And now they're going to bring him down. We do have the poor Rubik hitting the deck. And now they're trying to see if they can turn it. Jugger just going to go continue hitting away that mid tier 3 tower. And Echo Stomp does stop any further harassment there onto or from the SK. Arrow comes out, doesn't catch anyone, and Carbon could still be looking at making a move here. The healing ward is dropped. Going to try and siege this a little bit. The tier 3 tower is so low, it just doesn't want to die. Jugger is heading away. And he's going to put the tower under his belt. And they do pick up that tower. Now comes the stun from the SK. Does miss. Nice little run back there coming out from the Jugger. Big jumping in there from the puck. Catches 2-man coil. Not enough to catch the Marana. But they do actually bring down the Marana. And the Rubik also goes down as well. And GG has been called. The gas in the fuel tanks for the side of damage control just couldn't get it over the finish line, and Carbon played an extraordinary game And I think just really it was like clockwork. Everything just went according to their plan. And as you said from the beginning, the draft that they actually pulled out was unbelievable and did so much work for them. So with that, do give us a wrap-up of what happened in that game and where you think things went wrong.
I'd love to give a 5-minute explanation on how Carbon Dota 2 actually got that victory, but at the end of the day, it was the fact that there was just so much fighting in the beginning and couldn't handle it. Firstly, they were losing the heroes constantly. They were getting unfair trades. The towers weren't even dropping. That it wasn't even that important. The fact that Carbon were able to get so many kills so early on just allowed them to get so much more in terms of item progression. And when DC, you could see DC physically lacking items, and that in any sense of the word is just they just needed too many items and had too little farm.
Right, well, there you have it. This is going to be game 1 of this Ballistix Cup game. We're going to jump into game 2 very shortly. So don't go anywhere. We will see you guys very, very soon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Dota players around the world. Game number 2 of this Ballistix Masters Cup. It is going to be Carbon versus Damage Control. One game under the bag, and Carbon able to take it away. Very easy and convincing win. Pretty much the scores were sitting at around about 25 for 5, so doing really well for the side of Carbon. But this is going to be game 2, and Damage Control isn't out of it yet. They're going to come back swinging and fighting and doing what they can to get themselves back on track to be able to stand a fighting chance in the series. So with that said, the draft is out, the picks are done, you are online now for another epic game. I am Jabba, joined by Tyrox, and Ty, as we've seen a little bit of shenanigans going on here for the side of Carbon, being able to snack themselves up to Shadow Demon, things are going to get crazy.
And you can say it again, Marana, Shadow Demon. That's a dangerous combo in itself. There's going to be a lot of disruption. I mean, if Marana gets that early Ags disruption on her, this is going to be painful. That Sacred Arrow setup is there. I want to see what Carbon are going to be able to. I want to see how they're going to do the rest of the draft. I want to see a core hero. Want to see a nice mid. Maybe another good support. Disruptor. Disruptor maybe. I mean, Disruptor did a lot of work for Carbon needlessly. They did a lot of work last game. But I do think that damage control already are a little bit more. I have a little bit more to deal with a Disruptor than they did in the last round because they really struggled. They were caught under a lot of the static storms and kinetic field combos. They really couldn't do much, and they were really getting glimpse back. That was also a very crucial thing that we forgot to actually put on. It was the glimpse that Disruptor used, constant, and just secured so many kills on the side of Carbon.
Yeah, it is one of the problems going up against the Disruptor is when you engage and you decide to disengage. Oh no, my friend, you haven't really disengaged because there's always a Disruptor on the field. So they do stand that opportunity to jump onto the Disruptor again. Although, let's just have a look. I mean, being able to actually pick up the Shadow Demon for Carbon, they've actually got a couple of options here to actually pick as their core. I mean, you've got Anti-Mage that works really well with Shadow Demon. You've got Luna that works unbelievably well with Shadow Demon as well. So a couple of options as their core heroes that they can actually jump on. So probably Carbon can look at actually picking up their core in the latest parts of the draft. Marana being snagged up here, so that's probably going to be another mid Marana here for Carbon. It won't be it will be now being played by the other team. Previously, we had Filthy Frank playing the Marana for the side of damage control. This time round, damage control picking up the Sand King and Kunkka for their draft thus far. I don't think they got as much out of the Sand King as what they wanted to. I mean, didn't have too bad a timing on his Blink Dagger timing. Just not able to really get much done. So, with that said, now opting to actually pick up the Kunkka. We'll see what kind of position this Kunkka is going to be played. We've seen a lot of teams actually been playing him as a support. What do you think this Kunkka is going to be? Do you think it's going to be a mid Kunkka to try and deal with the Marana? Because that X now is going to be a huge issue here for the Marana.
That is, don't think. Well, I'd like to see a support Kunkka because of the fact that he can do so much. And although it could be a good idea to use to run Kunkka in the mid, not too sure. Most probably going up against Marana unless Carbon decide otherwise. But against Marana doesn't. I mean, the attack range of Marana isn't that bad, and it would probably fall underneath a splash. I mean, getting slapped with water is never a nice thing. So I think Marana would struggle a bit against the Kunkka mid, but I'm not too sure if damage control would go for that idea because it's not necessarily one hero to counter them all. I think it's more of a well-balanced draft that would counter the entire side of Carbon. And like you said, you did speak about the Luna pickup for Carbon. I just want to go back to that. And we do see that coming out in Ogre Magi as well that we spoke about in the game one. Strong support here, very, very tanky, can really soak up a lot of damage and can just bloodlust anything and everything, multicast all 5 heroes, and that's Dota.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much game over. And Shadow Demon, I really start favoring teams that pick up Shadow Demon. He's such a strong hero, just in terms of his defensive and offensive disruptions that he can actually get done. And is going to be an absolute, for example, a Kunkka decides to X or torrent one of these players. All of a sudden, you just drop the disruption, the defensive disruption, and that X kind of disappears. So it's got a lot of things that damage control is going to need to deal with from the side of Carbon. I think they've got so far a very nice draft. And for the side of damage control, I mean, also not something to play around with. But I mean, they do have the Invoker and the Juggernaut. So things are sitting in favor of Carbon at the moment, but just by a slight margin. I mean, the Lunas can do so much damage to the Jugger, and with those that disruption coming up from Shadow Demon can kind of negate the Juggernaut. So it's going to be a game of cat and mouse, depending on who can catch you out here. it's going to really work down to that. So while this is all taking place, Carbon is looking for their offlane hero at the moment. And for the side of damage control, they're looking for another support. What kind of heroes could we expect out from them? I know we haven't touched much on the bans, but I think it's far more interesting to actually look at the draft that's before us and what would actually go and complement both these teams rather well.
Well, I want to start off with damage control because they've got the SK that can run that offlane. They've got the Invoker who's definitely going to be going mid. They've got the Juggernaut and Kunkka combo that would be running on that safe lane. They could potentially be looking at getting another support, maybe just to babysit the SK on the off lane. They could go for a disruptor and send the Kunkka with SK. I mean, splash damage and caustic finale could just really rip that lane apart.
What do you feel about an axe for the side of Carbon?
Axe, I just think, but then I see when you get to that point, when you want to run an axe, you want to put him on an off-lane position, and you want to have that could work. I mean, looking at it now, you could have an axe, but yeah, but that would be very early game centric, and the way Invoker Juggernaut combo look to be running, I don't think they're going to be looking for a very early game pushing lineup.
Well, the other offlane heroes that we could probably generally kind of look to is maybe another Batrider. We could also maybe look at a Tide or a Slider. Those are pretty much the more meta-centric heroes that teams have been playing at the moment. We'll see if Carbon decides to change it up a little bit. But damage control looking to pick up their fifth and final support. What support would actually do pretty well here? Maybe a winter worm. Winter worm
would be beautiful. Winter would be doing a lot of work. Your whole winter's curse is going to really hurt.
I mean, if you get,
Luna, wow.
I mean, if you get the Shadow Demon actually disrupting the Luna, and you're actually able to cast your Winter's Curse onto the real Luna, that is absolute disaster for the side of Carbon if they're able to get that right.
Those glaives are going to hurt immensely. That is really going to be difficult to deal with. I'm hoping now that you mentioned it, I actually want to see the Winter Lion pick up and see if damage control could actually put up a big fight against Carbon, but they're up for the Lion, the safe pick Lion.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm still a big fan of Lion. I mean, he just gets so much done with so little farm. I mean, you just generally need the Tranquils on him, and he's an absolute hero killer. So, beautiful pickup from the Lion, and maybe something, I think, if I do remember correctly, his mana drain actually does pop Shadow Demon illusions immediately. Ooh, that is, wow. Wow, okay, so... Wow, okay, that completely caught me off guard because the CK is actually going to be playing offlane. Melee hero. Wow, okay, so that's going to basically, we're going to see how this turns out. Very unexpected pickup there of the CK, really keeping us on our toes here, the side of Carbon. But that is going to round off the two drafts for both Carbon and damage control. Carbon opting to go for the Shadow Demon, Mirana, Ogre Magi, Luna, and Chaos Knight draft versus damage control that's decided to go for the Kunkka, Sand King, Juggernaut, Invoker, and Lion pickup. And that is going to basically put our two teams head to head very, very soon. So as the traditional pause comes out, which I love because it gives us a quick opportunity to go run through and introduce our teams and players. For the side of the Radiant, we've got DC, and on the side of DC, we got Stun playing the SK. We got Filthy Frank going to be playing our Invoker. Scarnet going to be playing our Lion. We've got Captain Trekkie going to be playing the Kunkka. And last but not least, we're going to have Faded on the Juggernaut. Take it away for the side of the Dire.
On the Dire, being played by Carbon, we have I Quit Dota Amma on this CK, and out of the blue CK. We've got XBFH on that Mirana. We have got KMS on that Luna. We've got 540 on that Ogre Magi, and we've got Sheena on that Shadow Demon.
And I'm really keen to see the plays that the Shadow Demon does. We know that he makes such an impactful play on how teams can actually be successful or, let's say, unsuccessful. Really, it doesn't get many shout-outs because, I mean, the Shadow Demons just do Shadow Demon things, and they just able to try and win the game for their team. So, I mean, when they get off an amazing disruption, I mean, Shadow Demon's just doing Shadow Demon things. So,
Yeah, there's really a high, I gotta say, a high value put on a Shadow Demon player. You generally expect a lot of good things from a hero that or player that can actually play Shadow Demon. So I think it's more become of a comfort to see a Shadow Demon do Shadow Demon things.
and a little bit under overwhelming hero in terms of how to deal with him and his illusions. I mean, if he gets an opportunity to throw down that curse, it just does so much work. I mean, I think five stacks of his poison actually does like 1,200 damage, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, the stats do become overwhelming, but I'm more interested in seeing the CK combo with those with the disruption from Shadow Demon. That is going to be power. That is going to be very
Just here in
very,
the
very